is advised.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Board Games Unlocked, and we are doing something a little bit different this time. We are doing Brad's top 50 solo games of all time. This has been a request by a few people, and I mean, a huge thing that I'm coming to realize is that solo games are incredibly popular. If your game goes on Kickstarter and it doesn't have a solo mode, you might as well just pull it. Like, it's kind of really how it is. If you're wondering why I am not doing this along with Brad, is because I don't play games solo, and if I do, it's mainly for just for the channel, and so very rarely am I going down to play games by myself. But Brad is not the same, so let's go ahead and Brad, if you want to talk about your list in general, and then go ahead and get started.
Yeah, there's gonna be a few of them on here that you have played solo. I know. But this was a really easy list to make. I think when I made my initial list, I had a little over 100 games.
Okay.
I had to narrow it down to. These are going to be games, you know, they're not all exactly solo mode like we were just talking about a little bit ago. They are cooperative. They do have options to play it solo. So like these games, a lot of the solo game lists that you see now on these other channels and stuff, you know, they have cooperative games on there and stuff. So
right.
What we're pretty much looking at here is if I can come down into my game room and play it by myself, then it was a possibility.
Gotcha.
So that's kind of how I went through this.
Yeah, and for the record, if you want to look at, we do have a top 10 solo games on the channel, where I do have a list of that, and I specifically did solo variants.
Right.
So games that were competitive, and they had their own solo variant. That was my personal list, but there's not that many out there to be able to do a top 50. So yeah, let's go ahead and just get on it.
All righty, and mine will be a little bit different than my top 10 that we did a while back, just because I've played a lot more.
Right. It's been a little bit. Those top 10s are always kind of at that point in time, and then you play another game and you're like, ah, shit.
Right, exactly. All right, so my honorable mention for this lovely list of top 50 is D100 Dungeon. This is more like, well, this was one I got turned on to about a year ago. It was right in the middle of lockdown, all that stuff. What it is there's this RPG website that you can order these things from, and they print them, print on demand, and it's just a hardback book. And it's truly, it's like playing D&D by yourself, which I know sounds sad, but
I mean, isn't this whole list just kind of sad?
Well, in a weird way. I try not to look at it that way, but anyway, so it's a very in-depth RPG experience. You know, you're creating your character, you're doing all that stuff. You even actually draw out the dungeon as you go, as you move stuff on paper, and it's very, very involved, but it's a very cool. And I've just kind of scratched it a little. You know, I've only played like a few missions, and you gain stuff and loot and all that stuff. It's pretty much, I mean, you play D&D. It's pretty much D&D, but this narrative is in the book. You know, it's not created and stuff by the DM or whatever. So
that's still pretty cool, though. I mean,
yeah, it is.
I've never heard of this.
Well, and there's other source books that go along with this that like add more weaponry or more monsters and different stuff. This is kind of its own little area. You know, there's a whole bunch of different books that are like this for just solo RPGs. If you go to that one website, and it's pretty neat deal though.
All right, awesome.
Yeah, yep. And I know you haven't played it because you haven't heard of that one. Nope. So we'll jump into the list of number 50, and that is going to be Forbidden Desert. This is one of those that's co-op. You know, the cover says 2 to 5 players, but it's co-op, and you can run it 2 characters solo, easy. This is kind of one of those games you just kind of throw down. It's not a super hard setup. It's not it's just not a bunch of setup, and it's pretty easy to get into the game, and you can adjust the difficulty and make it more difficult, less difficult, because sometimes you just want to sit down and play something quick and simple, even though this game can be rough at times.
And
we've played this.
This was one of the first, I remember getting this game, and I think I did play it solo because I just kept losing so many times. Like, it was so hard. And then eventually I just finally, I was finally able to beat it, which was awesome. And then they came out with Forbidden Sky, which did not go over well at all.
Right.
Which is kind of crazy, but yeah, Forbidden Desert, this is a good one.
It is, and it's one of those that you kind of get in a rhythm with, like if something bad happens, you can kind of start trailing off and a lot of bad things happen, or like when we played, a few months ago, we played this and we kicked its ass pretty easy.
Oh yeah.
You just kind of how things flip,
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So number 49 is the only pandemic game on my list. I mean, I guess the pandemic mechanic will show up in other games, but this is the only one that says pandemic on it. And this is the dice game version of Pandemic. It's a lot faster of a game. It's got, it's interesting because you still pick your rolls, but you each roll that you pick has their own unique sets of dice. So, and you do like that, you're doing everything you would in basic Pandemic. It's just a dice version. You're just rolling dice. You're getting enough dice to make a roll to see if you get enough symbols to get the cure, and then it just starts wiping stuff out. And if you run out of that color of dice, then it's just like if you run out of the cubes on the board. I like this one just because it's a really fast game, and I like dice games. So I mean, it's Pandemic at the core, though.
This is, I think, the only Pandemic that I haven't played.
You got to try it. I mean, because it's a decent little game,
Yeah.
Just
I mean, but I like regular Pandemic.
Right.
So I'm just kind of like, oh, well, I'll just play that instead. I don't need to. I mean, because I don't go for filler games anyway.
Right.
So if I want to sit down and play a game, it's like Pandemic is the perfect length for me.
Yeah, this takes about 30. I'd say if you're playing it solo, it's like a 30-minute game, maybe.
Okay.
Give or take.
So it's about half the time. Regular games.
Yeah, and I just like how it doesn't take up very much space. It's got dice and all that stuff. So that's why this one's on there. It's a nice version. There's an expansion, a big box expansion for this. I haven't gotten it yet.
Oh, okay.
It's called Experimental Meds. It's expensive. I don't know if it's just out of print or whatever, but it just adds more dice, more rolls, more stuff. All right. So
the expansion came out in 2016.
Yeah, it's been a few years. Yeah. I want to get it at some point. It's just,
you can get it off of Board Game Market.
How much is it?
Like $40.
Yeah, that's when it first came out. It was one of those. It was like $29. So I just kind of. I mean, it's only $10 more. It's not that big of a deal, but
true.
But yeah, this is a good version of Pandemic if you're just looking for something a little easier to set up and stuff.
Cool.
All right, 48. Now, this
is
wow. This is
I didn't know you played these yet.
Yes, I've done several of them. These.
Okay.
This is Van Ryder Games. They came out with a really cool. They've done 2 Kickstarters. They're getting ready to do a 3rd one here pretty quick. And they're hardback graphic novel adventures. And they have. I have pretty much all the books from the first 2, except for a couple of the Sherlock Holmes ones. But what they do is there's all these different stories. I mean, like that Tears of the Goddess one's the one they tell you to kind of start with. That's kind of a simple version that's in there. But what it is and what's cool about them is they're like I could bring some to you, or whatever. They're shareable because when you open up the front cover of the book, there's like where you couldn't write, but I just used a piece of paper to keep track because you start off with a certain amount of hit points. You pick up gear as you go through. You get these different statuses that you pick up, but it's a graphic novel, and you just read the panels, and then as kind of like in the unlock games, on some of the panels they might have, like, let's say 3 doors, and one door is going to have number 24, and one of them's going to have 116, and one of them's going to have 16, and you choose which door you want to go to, and then you flip to that panel and start reading from there, and different things will happen. Like, you may take damage, you may if you've picked up this one item, it may help you out. It's just it's a really unique presentation. The arts are really cool. They have all different kinds, like that Tears of the Goddess. There's that captive one is you're just trying to rescue the captive. They've got a werewolf one, that Lugaroo. If you see that one, there's that one Western one down there. You just see it says Your Town.
Yeah.
There's also another one called Your Theme Park. And with those, I haven't done those yet, but what they look like you do is you do the same thing. You read through, but it's you building your deal, and it has like this map thing a grid map that you draw in the book as you're building up your town or building your amusement park and stuff. It's just all these crazy ideas. This picture doesn't show it, but there's 3 of these kind of animated like pirate books, and they all kind of go one after the other, so it's like a series. And I have a bunch of them, like I said, so I think I dropped like $180 and got all the books except for that's
actually the exact point that I wanted to make. Was I remember backing these because these are essentially one-time play, right? You go through the story.
You can go another time and just take different routes. I mean, you don't, because there's different endings. If you die, you can start back over and take another.
Right.
Time stories.
But for me, whenever I was looking at this, the price of the game was actually way too high for me to just be like, you go through a graphic novel, and then that's that. And then I have this hardback, book that I'm not doing anything with. And I'm not big into graphic novels or comics or anything, so I don't collect them. So I ended up backing out of their Kickstarter for it. But yeah, it did intrigue me. They have another one called, I think it's called Crusoe Crew.
That board game, that little card game thing.
Yeah, well, it's essentially, each person has they play a character and they have their own book.
Gotcha.
And you follow along together. But depending on who you have, if you have all 4 people, then some people can, someone's stronger so they can do more things, and then another one's smarter, so they have different numbers in their book, like hidden numbers. And I thought that was a pretty intriguing idea. But once again, it was kind of like, oh, well, we have to have all 4 people to play it. But so
these were kind of cool. I got them on like Cool Stuff, and they were like $12 each or something like that. And like that Tears of the Goddess one, the very first one, I was on it for a few hours. I mean, so you think about it. I mean, and then if you don't write in the book, you can pass on to other people and stuff like that. So they're kind of neat, It's was just something unique that you can just kind of sit in a chair, and you don't even have to be in your game room. You can just sit in a chair and do it if you want,
Yeah, true.
Play it. So it's kind of a cool little thing. But yeah, so that was my 48. So 47 is Valeria Card Kingdoms. We've played this. I don't know if you've played it solo though.
I have not, no.
It pretty much is the same game. It's just there ends up being a kind of like a top, like a main villain that you're going against.
Okay.
And then you're he is trying to get his monsters out as you're trying to kill them. And if he gets a certain number of them, that's why it's down here at 47. I love Valeria Card Kingdoms anyway. The whole all the mechanics for it and everything. The solo is good. I wish the solo was a little longer. Because I'm not gonna say it's not super challenging. But it's fun to play. It's just one of those like super fun ones to just throw to the table, play it solo. That's why, because I think this game on its own is in my top 20 or 15 all time anyway. But
Okay.
solo, it's down the list, but I like playing it so much. That's why it's on there. Plus the awesome art. I love the art. I know you don't.
It's yeah, I hate it. I hate it so much. This is I would go out of my way and say the new Descent art is 10 times better than this.
Really? I haven't looked at that anymore.
That's not true. The new Descent art from Fantasy Flight is still not good. I think both of them are just ass.
Yeah. No, I'm excited for the new expansion for this when it gets delivered off Kickstarter, because that'll add some neat stuff to it.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, yeah. So that's my 47. That's one of those Machikoro theme games, and
Yeah, but you actually get to make decisions.
yeah. Well, you get you choose what you buy. What's cool about it is they fire constantly, like on everybody's turn and stuff.
Well,
I think
right.
on multiplayer, that's the good thing.
I always felt that Machikoro, at least the base game, there's the one route to go, and it's boring as hell. This one, there's a lot more things to actually do.
Yep.
So, because I ended up buying a collection from a guy. I think he had everything for it, and then I got the rest of the stuff off of the new Kickstarter.
Yeah, this is a definite one. My wife loves this one too. So this one, like I said, it would be higher if it was a little more difficult solo, but it is what it is at that point. It's still fun to play.
Cool.
All right. So 46 is Lord of the Rings: Journeys to Middle Earth. This is a quintessential. I mean, it's cooperative, but playing it solo with two heroes is super simple because of the app.
I can see that. Yeah.
And you don't manage a whole lot of cards anyway. I mean, you're using their individual things to try to get successes. This is one of those that if I want a Lord of the Rings game, this is what I play, because I don't have the card game anymore. So if I'm in the mood for Lord of the Rings, this is really the only one you can do solo. It's because you can't do War of the Ring, you can't do Battle of Five Armies, you can't do those solo. So
yeah, weirdly enough, there's not a whole lot of Lord of the Rings games out there. Now that I think about it,
think
the IP would be all over the place, but
and the card game's great. I don't know if you ever played the card game, but
no, yeah, I played it. I played it whenever it was like a little more accessible. But it was a little more complicated than I was wanting at the time.
Yeah, and it got
Arkham Horror came out, and it's just better.
That's what I was gonna say. Arkham came out and kind of just did everything more streamlined and everything. So, but this one, just having the app, just makes this one easy to play that way, because you don't have to manage as much stuff. It just tells you what to do. You do it, and then you go for it. That's why it's on my list here.
Kat and I played this at. I was gonna say, Kat and I played this at 2, and we just felt I was like, there must be something else. There was like the story just wasn't as invigorating. We just couldn't get drawn in, and we thought with Lord of the Rings it'd be the easiest thing in the world. But I don't know. The app is amazing though.
Yeah, and I need to get to the point where I play that big box expansion, because a lot of people love that. So I don't know if that brings in more stuff. I don't know, but yeah, this one is a good Lord of the Rings game if you're wanting to do something by yourself and play it. Like you said, the app's amazing on it for sure.
Yeah.
All right, 45. Village Attacks. This one is on. This one is on here. This game by itself, like when I play it with other people, is higher. Like in my top 100, it's 45, because there's a lot to manage when you play it solo. Like to the point where when you're playing two heroes in Gloomhaven, that's a lot to manage, but yet this is so much more, and everything. So this one you really have to dedicate some time to, for setup and for everything. It's on the list just because it's unique in what it does. So if I'm in the mood for that kind of a game, where you're doing kind of a tower defense in a way, but you're playing the bad guys, that's kind of where it falls. I'm still wanting all that other crap that Kickstarter was how many years ago, and
It's been a couple of years, I think.
yeah, and I didn't do any of the Asian stuff, but I got the rest of the stuff for this version anyway. But yeah, it's just the uniqueness of having the where you're playing the monsters and you're trying to take out the heroes and the townsfolk and all that stuff and protect the heart of your castle.
Yep.
It's a fun one for sure. It's just a lot to take in. You have to really set some time aside for this when you're playing it by yourself, because it takes a while. There's other games higher up on the list that fit this a little bit that would work better.
Yeah, this one ended up kind of falling flat for me whenever we were recording it for the channel. We literally had a player who could not attack because he just never rolled ways to attack, and I'm like, well, the fact that can happen is extremely annoying in a tower defense game.
Yeah.
So it was a little too random for a game like that. Everything else about it works fine. Except actually one mechanic that I absolutely hate is whenever the NPCs can go, like if they can split routes, like you're supposed to flip a coin for every single one of them. And it's just like, oh my God, okay, there's 17 people there. All right, give me a sec. That one's going left. That one's going left. I hated it so much. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, you're right. The theme is really cool.
Yeah, that's the main reason it's here, is because there isn't really a game like that theme wise, you know. I mean, I'm sure there probably is, but not that I've played.
Right.
All right, so 44. Here's the game you recently put on your channel.
Yeah, you're right.
Super Skill Pinball 4K. This one's one that'll probably keep moving up my list. I haven't played it a ton. Huh?
I said, you think it'll go up? Yeah. On this list or on the top 100?
I'm not sure if it would hit the top 100 yet. That's something I'll have to see. But on this list, I could see it moving up just because this is one of those that, I mean, solo's the way to go on this one for sure. But yeah, and they have a expansion that's getting ready to come out. You can pre-order it, so it's adding more tables and stuff. This is just.
As soon as I put up my discussion and I said, they have an avenue for expansions with this, I looked it up on Board Game Geek and I'm like, oh look, there's one.
Yeah, it's called like Ramped Up or Amped Up or something like that. I can't remember what it's called, but yeah, just like you said on your review, I mean, this one is just such a unique theme. You would have never have thought that you could have turned a pinball game into a roll and write and make it work successfully and feel like you're playing it. I mean, you can even shake the table. You can
tilt it.
Right. But then you look at who made the game, Jeff Engelstein. He's a freaking genius.
I need to look him up.
He's done tons of stuff. I mean, and he's on the Dice Tower podcast. He's always the guy that does he's the really, really math brainiac guy that has a segment and stuff. But anyway, but him to come up with a game like this and just the theme alone got me to buy it. And then after playing it, it just was just cool as hell, Yeah,
the fact that, because you talked about it in the, 2020 top 10, and I had no idea what this game was about. And then I saw it at my local game store, and I'm like, oh, what the hell? I'll pick it up and give it a shot. Played it with 3, and then I was like, this is absolutely unnecessary.
Right.
Like, if you're playing in multiplayer, it is overly long because everyone's playing their own game. So it's like, oh man, I'm just amazing on all my rolls. Like I'm still in round 1, and it's like, oh my God. But so whenever I did it solo for the channel, because I've only done the fantasy one, and then the Carney one. And yeah, just those two alone are so drastically different.
Yeah, and I can only imagine what this Ramped Up is. I mean, he's probably going to do all kinds of crazy stuff.
We'll add 4 new tables. Go for Gold introduces a new flipper. Pin Pals is wrestlers. Enter the ring and tag teams of 2, high roller heist, action of a classic casino caper into 2 rounds, and then top speed turns your pinball into a race car and opens up a new challenge.
Weird. Yeah,
I'm excited. And here's one thing I will say about this that is kind of a detriment to the game. Only people who are into pinballs or pinball machines are going to like this. I personally think, because you're not going to get the lingo. You're going to be a little more into the ball moving around if you've actually played a pinball machine, which is few and far between of people who have done that because they don't exist anymore.
Yeah, you're like a little younger than you and down probably don't know what the hell they've ever even played a pinball machine.
Exactly. I grew up in the era of still no internet, so I had the PC game, but I was always fascinated by them and have played them in person. But yeah, it's kind of like the Gen Z and lower are going to be like, what is this?
Yeah, exactly.
God, we're old. Let's move on.
Yeah, but that's my 44, and I'm sure it's going to keep moving up as time goes. So anyway, 43 is Untitled Dungeon. This game has been on some of my lists in the past. I've talked about it. I can't remember what lists right now, but I think it's in my top 100. I think. But anyway, this is a small box game. They have 2 versions of it. They have this one, and then they have one that's like the Forbidden Forests or something like that. But
they also have one Galaxy, don't they?
Yeah, and that one hasn't come out yet. But it's going to be the same type of game, right? Anyway, this one, and there's an app for this as well, so that it can be played that way. But this is a really cool one because it's a dice game. It's a push your luck game. You have a stack of cards that's like going deeper and deeper into the dungeon, and then there's the beast, whatever the big monster is at the bottom. And there's 4 different attributes that have different color dice. There's like yellow, blue, pink, and black, I think. Something I can't remember right off the top of my head, but
never played it.
And you can power yourself up. So like as you're getting more equipment or stuff, it may give you more dice to roll. And then when you're trying to do a challenge, there's monsters where you're trying to defeat them, or there's traps. And when you roll this handful of dice, you place the dice on those squares, and once you've covered all the spots, then you've defeated that challenge and you get rewards or whatever. It's really tricky though, because there's different requirements for the boxes. You may need to put a certain number in a box, or you may need to put kind of like Sagrada,
Gotcha.
But yeah, this one's just one. It's a tiny little box, and you can combine the forests one and this one if you want. But one of the cool things about this is every one of the characters are female.
Oh, that's right.
Every one of them. And it's just kind of a neat little game, I mean, it doesn't take up any space at all. And it's just a bunch of dice rolling and placing dice, it's a pretty easy, simple game.
Neat. But
it's challenging. When I say simple, it's simple to play, but hard to beat. Like, it's difficult as hell to win.
Yeah. And I remember them having this around Gen Con. And actually what's interesting is the BGG description is calling it a roguelike.
Yes.
And I feel like I've seen that in literally another game recently where they use that term roguelike.
Maximum Apocalypse, they say, is a roguelike. It was on there.
Yes. Yeah. Yes, that's exactly it. And I was like, oh, that's interesting, because you see those in video games. Granted, video games make roguelikes a little bit easier because it's quicker to just go through each level. But I like that. I like that concept in board games, because roguelikes are designed to be completely random and variable. So you're not going to play this once and be like, oh, that's that.
Exactly. And that one other thing, so dice will scare a lot of people off, but there's a lot of dice manipulation in this game as well. Cool. So that kind of helps out as well. It's a good one for sure, and it's cheap. It's like $15, and it's a really good game.
Awesome. Yeah, I'll check this one out.
All right. So my number 42 is Set a Watch.
I remember you talking about this one.
Yes, this one. I've only played it twice. I really have liked the 2 plays I've done so far, but I couldn't put it that high on my list until I get more plays in it. This is a strictly solo game, so this one fits the only because it can only be played solo.
This is the only one so far that makes the list.
And pretty much this one is you're just setting watch. You know, there's a campfire. You're going to be setting a watch. There's going to be monsters that keep coming towards you.
I remember you saying like you actually go outside and set a fire and you just sit there.
And you're just protecting.
Yeah, you don't actually play it. There's nothing in the box. It just tells you to go set a fire and do nothing. This is the same company that did Maximum Apocalypse, right?
Yes. Okay. Yes. And it's just kind of a unique theme because it's in your fantasy theme. You know, you got all your prototypical monsters and stuff, but you set up your deal. You keep watch and you try to get to the morning time, you know, and you are killing stuff, upgrading, doing this and that. The deluxe version that I have has all the wooden components and all that stuff in it, and it's just a simple it's a smaller box, and when it has that magnet latch, you know, where you flip the lid, that little magnet lid, okay, you know, that some of those games have, and then you open it up, and the box is your board. Because you has a place for your decks and it has a place for your, you know, all your odds and ends. But this is one that there's an expansion that they kickstarted, I believe. That I don't think it's come out yet. But you know, it has a few decks of cards in there, and you just kind of go to town. You know, I mean, there's a lot more to explore on this game. So with it being solo only, you know, it's going to move up the list. I almost guarantee it because the 2 plays I've had, I haven't won, but I've had fun. I've had fun playing them, you know, because they have all these different races you get to pick and just different, you know, odds and ends and stuff. It's very unique. I didn't back it because I didn't even look at this deal. When I saw set a watch, I thought it was some sort of a mechanical type game. You know, I don't know what I was thinking, like, because I think it was on Kickstarter around the same time that Chip Theory Games Trip Lock was on, and I was just like, well, it's kind of like, you know, it's setting a watch. What in the hell's that? And I never clicked on it. And then, you know, you can get a deluxe copy of it really cheap right now still too. I think I got mine for like $25, $30, something like that.
Oh, okay.
But it's a good one for sure.
Neat. Yeah,
all right.
That sounds kind of a cool. Oh, that's a really small game.
Yeah, it's not very big, but the board is the box. Like if you can see a picture, whether you just open up the flap of the box and open it up, your decks sit inside the box. You have spots on the flaps that you set stuff out and everything. They kind of utilize their space well.
I see. Okay, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. It's definitely, it might be one that you need to try sometime because I know you don't do a lot of solo games, but with it being fantasy and stuff.
I don't actually, and I mean one of the games that will very much be high on your list, I actually just sold because I was like, I don't play solo games. Like I have video games for that, you know.
Right. Yep. So anyway, this will be one that I'll explore a lot more.
Maybe let me borrow it so I can put it on the channel.
Yeah. Yep. I can bring it if you want me to.
Cool.
Well, all right. So my number 41, Viticulture Essential Edition. This was the first game I believe that he used the Automa system on. And it's still just super smooth. You know, I recently actually just got this to the table playing 2 players because my wife had never played it and she really wanted to play it and enjoyed it. But this is one, good. This is just the classic. I mean, you wouldn't think winemaking would be that exciting, but this game not plays itself, and that's I don't mean it to sound like that, but it's just so smooth, and everything, and I don't know. After this, I guess Wingspan was another one of his, but he just hasn't been putting out too many great games lately. Sorry, Sorry. No, Scythe is good. I just don't like it, but Scythe is a great game as far
but
as.
I mean, really, it's kind of those three: Wingspan, this one, and Scythe are kind of his three staples that have put Stonemaier on the map.
Yeah, because those his last ones.
Yeah,
this last
Red
one.
Rising is hot ass.
Well, that, and then Pendulum, I'm not going to touch because of the real time aspect, and then Tapestry, I keep trying to talk myself into getting it, but then I don't because it's still expensive. Like if I could find it cheap, I would get it just to try it out because I watched playthroughs of the solo.
The solo actually, I'll give it credit. It makes it feel like a 3-player game. They did a pretty good job at actually making 2 AI characters. It's just that the game itself still sucks. So Pendulum is actually pretty good. I was surprised. The theme is god awful. There is zero theme. The mechanics of what you're doing is it was good enough for me to keep. But and it's Pendulum, by the way.
Whatever. Yeah. Whatever.
I called it Pendulum, and Kat was like, "What the fuck did you say?" And I was like, I thought that's how it looks.
Yeah.
No, I'm going to be an elitist and correct you.
Yeah, that's fine.
I'm
from Southeast Kansas. I can speak all redneck, you know.
Yeah, you could do that.
But no, I don't know what it is with Stonemaier lately, you know, because like this was one of his, this was his, in my opinion, this is his best game.
Yeah.
Wingspan is good. You know, I haven't played it enough to really get into the depths of it or anything, but this one is better than Euphoria and, in my mind, Scythe and all that stuff, just because of how smooth it is, you know. And then when you throw in some of the stuff it starts getting a little convoluted when you start throwing in some of that Tuscany module stuff, but
I love it. Yeah. The only thing I think is kind of a little much is the little mini map.
Yeah.
Where you're like selling wine to different regions. That one just kind of feels a little weird because that's what you do in Vinos, the Vita Lasarda game. That's pretty much what you do. So to just kind of have it as a little mini thing, and this doesn't quite work. But everything else for the Tuscany actually having a fall and fall season. This game is so good.
Yeah.
Enough, have not done this for the channel yet. I don't know why.
Interesting. Yeah. Yeah, because and you got to have, if you love this game, get the metal coins.
Yes.
It's just even awesome. Makes it even better.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So we're going to go to number 40. That is Warp's Edge. Cool. This was a game that was in my top 100, I believe, possibly. I know it was in my 2020 games.
Yeah.
And this is another solo-only game. And this one is one of those games that they're hitting their stride with this solo series, because Proving Grounds, where it was good and I enjoyed it, it kind of got old quick.
Okay.
This one is one that's not getting old. Like, this is a good, solid game. You pick a ship, you're going into take on these big, whatever gargantuan mothership you're taking on, and you may keep dying, but then you keep coming back. You warp back, and you kind of it's a bag building game, which automatically makes it good for me because I love bag building.
Yeah.
And then if you have the Kickstarter version, you have nice like plastic tokens that go into your bag instead of the cardboard chips and stuff. And this is a challenging game. This is it's not easy at all. Even at the easiest chip, it's a difficult one, because you're when you pull these chips out, you're using these chips and you're allotting these chips to do different things. And it's very easy to get totally overwhelmed with this game. But in a solo game, you don't want to, this is one of those instances where you don't want it to be super easy. Like I said, Valeria was too easy but fun. This one, the challenge is they just found that good balance, you know. Unlike the Proving Grounds, because Proving Grounds was just brutal to be brutal, and it wasn't. And it got old quick. This one is fun because you're flying around. You got the bag building. It's just if you have the play mat, it's sexy on the play mat. It's just, and everything. It's just really a really cool game. So yeah, if you could find, it's hard to find right now, I think. I'm not sure the retail version. It seems to be out a lot of places. I bet you could find Kickstarter versions of it on eBay and stuff, but
Sure.
they had to replace the plastic tokens though. The ones that they sent out to backers, the paint was falling off of them, a lot of them, when people first got them. So here pretty quick, the new ones are coming in, like they said, like mid-July or mid-June. They're just sending out new tokens to every backer, whether yours was doing it or not. So it's a really cool solo only experience if you like sci-fi, for sure.
All right, awesome.
Yep. All right, so going to number 39. And I kind of tiny little cheat here. They're the same game, just different themes. Thanos Rising and Dark Side Rising. They're virtually the same game. One has Thanos that sits in the middle of the board. The other one has Vader, and you are rolling dice, and you are trying to do a lot of things with those dice. You're trying to use your heroes to save people around the board or take out minions, stormtroopers, whatever, all the while trying to stop Thanos from getting the stones or the Death Star from being built. And so those are kind of your things. These games are just stupid fun. I mean, they're totally luck based. But the games don't take very long, and they're challenging enough, even if you're rolling well. Like with Thanos, I played so many damn games of that until you and Kat came over, and Kat, Lucky Charm Kat, got to beat it, because she also helped us beat that one in Fire Team as well. But these are awesome. The Star Wars game is not super easy to get over here because it was released in Europe. But yeah, I mean, these are those games that I just like the ease of play. You just set the cards up in a circle around Thanos or Vader. You roll their dice, and they may turn and activate and do different stuff. So if you don't like a lot of randomness, then these games aren't going to be for you. But I don't mind it in these kind of games. I mean, when you're playing solo, these games don't take very long at all. Either you lose quick or die quick. Most of the time it's die quick. But
I feel like the Thanos Rising theme fits more than the Star Wars one.
It does. I just put them both on it. I mean, because with them being virtually the same thing, if you're in Star Wars mood, go for Star Wars. Everything. True. Thanos. They kind of flooded the market with Infinity War and Thanos stuff, as you'll see on my worst games list when we get to those videos.
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
But yeah, this one is these games are just a fun experience to take on. Also really quick, if you do have Thanos Rising, they come out with these promo packs every year, and if you just email the OP, the op, they just send them to you for free. You don't even have to pay for them or anything. They just send the promos to you for free and stuff. Really I've done that with a couple
of promos. You just miss out.
Yeah, so it's pretty neat.
Cool.
So all right, so 38, Terraforming Mars.
Good one.
This is a great game in itself. It would be higher if there was a different winning condition to it, other than just being a beat your own score kind of thing. In a way, it's those kind of games are fun, but they kind of get old after a while. This one's just good because you're just going at it by yourself, doing your your crap on Mars, putting your ridiculous tableau of cards out in front of you, and doing all kinds of craziness. This is one of those. I definitely prefer this multiplayer.
Okay.
Because of the beat your own score thing. I like playing against somebody to have that challenge.
Okay.
but it being able to be played solo and still having more or less the same experience, and just not. I don't worry about the score necessarily at the end. I just try to do my best and try to see what kind of cool shit I can make up. And
well, I think there is a goal. Like, I think you still have to do certain conditions by a time limit.
Yeah, there is. It's just, but then it's like, it ends up being like you want to beat your underscore. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. There isn't really an AI. You do just play Terraforming Mars.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, my preferred solo variants are ones where you as the player are playing the game, and then there's an AI or something that's doing its own thing. So because then you get to feel like you're playing it instead of doing some weird kind of like, oh, I have to play a little off just to try and get this game to the table, In Terraforming Mars, when I did it for the channel, I was like, well, I'm just going to do it solo. And it is pretty overwhelming when you do it with almost every expansion. Yeah.
I pretty much, if I play this solo, I just do it with Prelude for sure. And then I colonies I'll toss in most of the time too, but I don't do anything else after that.
Colonies is good. And Prelude is absolutely a must. Those are the two best expansions in my opinion.
Yeah.
If you're gonna do the newest one,
Turmoil.
The politics.
Is it Turmoil?
Turmoil. If you're gonna do Turmoil, I think just do Turmoil and Prelude. Like, don't mix them. It gets pretty insane. And that big box is sexy as hell.
I think I have about enough Terraforming Mars at this point. I have the base game, Prelude, colonies. And the Hellas and Elysium maps, but I didn't get Venus Next, and I didn't get Turmoil. What I have, I think, is good for now.
Turmoil is good because it gives you the dual layer boards. You don't have that topper.
I already have dual layer boards. I bought off of Broken Token, so
okay.
So I mean, I had that was one reason why I didn't go for that, because that would have been a big selling point. But so. But yeah, this is a good one. It's a crazy game. Oh, I accidentally hit the button. Sorry. Here's the next one.
Well, Terraforming Mars is shit. Let's talk about Mage Knight.
Oh shit. Sorry. About Mage Knight. So this one is one that I have played twice, and it's been a lot of learning on this game. This is a very, very, very steep learning curve on this game. I have it at this point is because it intrigues me so much, and I keep wanting to come back to it. And it's got to go higher up on this list. Especially, everybody keeps saying it's going to click, and once it clicks, it'll be one of the best solo experiences you'll have. So at this point, I'm like, it still hasn't clicked. I'm having fun doing what I'm doing, and I'm still diving through the rule book every single time I try to play it.
Right.
But once it clicks, I know it'll go up higher, and I can see the potential of it, and that's why it's where it is.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, the base game comes with 6 or something, like scenarios or modes or whatever they called it. And the first few are like learning games.
Right. It's still rough though, man. I mean, this is not a simple game to jump into.
No, it's not. And I've only ever played it as like a multiplayer game. And it was kind of weird. So I almost feel like it's best as a solo game.
Well, and that's what everybody that I've talked to or read reviews of says, that the more players you add, it just makes it so long and so drawn out. It's like, this is pretty much a solo game. So anyway, I have everything for it. So like I said, once this game clicks, it'll be pretty neat, because I like the pre-painted minis and all the cool stuff to it.
The map exploration, the unique monsters, and then the hand, like the deck building.
Yeah.
Using mana to buff up your spells is really, really cool. So yeah, this is a game I've played around with getting again, because at the time I wasn't too into. I mean, I was into the hobby, but I wasn't like as advanced by playing like heavier games. So I picked this one up, and I'm just like, I don't get it.
Well, I'll tell you, I have a pretty much complete second copy that's minus the box and minus the elf miniature. That if you want it. Well, because when I bought it the whole set off of John.
Okay.
Our lovely friend John. And it was stored in like this big toolbox. But he gave it to me. He gave it to me for next to nothing. And I hated the toolbox. So then I searched and searched for just somebody a cheap ass copy that I could buy off somebody, because I wanted to get an organizer and have the original box. Because at that time the Ultimate Edition was out of print. So I found somebody that sold like $15, gave me the whole thing, said that the elf miniature's missing, but $15 and shipping, and you can have it. So I got it. So I moved everything into this box, but then I put everything else back in that toolbox. So it's pretty much an entire copy, just minus the box and minus the elf mini. So if you want it, you can have it, whatever.
Oh, well, all right. I'm not gonna say no.
Yeah, you just get to have that horrendous tackle box. So anyway, so yeah, my 37. This will be another one that'll probably start creeping up once I get it learned. All right, so 36. I already kind of gave you a little sneak peek of it, and I made this list before the Kickstarter, obviously. So this one at 36. This is an awesome. It has several different modes, right? With Hoplomachus, it has the team versus, it has the 1v1, and then it has your co-op solo scenarios. And it was scenario based. It's fun to play those scenarios. Pick different there was different armies you could choose. It's a pretty hefty learning curve on this as well.
Yeah.
The art on the chips was so, like with the clip art and all that stuff. This was Chip Theory Games' very first set of games they ever put out, were the Hoplomachus games. Then fast forward to what is ending probably in the next 20 minutes, is their Victorum and the remastered Hoplomachus Kickstarter that's got all custom art now. It's that Victorum brings in the campaign, story, solo only mode. It's got to fly up higher on the list once it gets to be something play. I've watched so many playthroughs of that game, and it's just super sexy and super. It puts these kind of to shame. I sold all my Hoplomachus stuff for $250.
Nice.
And then I'm backing this for $265. So it's like was just switching it out for the cool new stuff. And this one. While this was fun, good enough to be 36 on my list. If you are watching this and looking, hey, the Hoplomachus looks awesome, you have about 20 minutes. No, sorry.
Yeah, you have about 78 minutes. By the time this goes up, you will have 0 minutes.
They'll have a late pledge though, so find the late pledge on Chip Theory. They'll do late pledge. Get in on it, because if this at all interests you, get Victorum, get the remastered version, because you will not be disappointed if this theme interests you at all. There's not much more I can say.
Yeah, Chip Theory just knows how to make. They just know how to make games. I mean,
well,
with their theory of why did I say that? With their theory of chips, like the fact that they only use chips. I mean, they have cards and other stuff, but it's like there's no minis, and that works. It works with their games.
Everything's waterproof too, the cards and everything.
Everything is waterproof. I mean, the quality you get, and for the quality of all of their stuff, it's not overpriced. Like, I mean, everything for Too Many Bones probably sits at what, 500, 600 maybe.
Yeah, give or take.
Cloud Spire is around 3. This is about 265. And yeah, plastic cards, metal chips, neoprene mats. They kiss you on the lips when they deliver it. They actually come to your house and just it's just exquisite production that isn't beat. And then their games are amazing. Granted, they do, every single one of them has a steep learning curve. So
this one's learning curve isn't nearly as bad though. When I was watching these videos, they've streamlined it and made it where this is probably going to be one of their easiest ones to get into.
Oh, okay.
I think
Awesome.
just from watching the videos, because they've changed the symbols. There's not as much to pick up on and learn.
Okay.
One of the other things I like what they did with the remaster to make it cheaper was instead of adding all those play mats, they made them double-sided play mats, which was smart because then it cuts down on the bottom line for us, you know. So, but anyway, this one is a must when you can get the late. If this interests you at all, it's going to be this might be one of my favorite Chip 3 games by the end of it, and that's because Too Many Bones is even way up on my list. So, on top 100. So we'll see how it goes.
Neat.
All right. So 35.
Nice.
Now, this is one of the.
This is only at 35 because you haven't played it as much.
Right. Oh yes, because this is one you opened me my eyes to. I owned it. I never could get it to the table a long time. You know, when it first came out, and I sold it. And then I wanted to get it, but I was so far behind, I didn't want to spend all that money to get into it again. We played, a couple months ago, I think.
Yep.
And it just hit that note. You know, I could see the Lord of the Rings influence in there a little bit, but it was going a little smoother. I now own the entire. Oh gosh. I own all the way through the Forgotten Realm on the third cycle, I think.
Forgotten Age?
Yeah, the Forgotten Age. I got all that stuff through there, and I'm just getting ready tonight. I'm going to put in an order for the next two entire cycles, the Dream Eaters and
then Innsmouth, right?
No, Innsmouth is the last one that just finished up because it was Dream Eaters and shoot.
I know, I'm looking it up. I don't remember what exactly is right after Dream Eaters. I thought it was Innsmouth. The Innsmouth. Oh wait, is it? No, Path to Carcosa is the third one.
Right. So it's the one. What's right after that one?
Forgotten Age, I thought.
Oh, and then what's after that one?
Dream Eaters, I thought.
And what's after that one? There's two more that I'm getting, and Innsmouth's not one of them because they're all out of stock. The Innsmouth ones are all out of stock right now. So
I'll keep looking. I'll figure it out.
Yeah. But anyway, so Arkham Horror, the card game. Yes, Cthulhu. I have many Cthulhu games. I used to not like Cthulhu as much, but it's grown on me. This game is just badass. You know, it's got the theme. For this just being a card game, the theme is just stupid for this. Stupid good.
Yeah.
Because you pick your heroes and you keep those decks throughout the cycle of scenarios.
Circle Undone.
Yes, Circle Undone. That was fun. Yeah. So I have Circle Undone and Dream Eaters. All that stuff's coming.
Awesome.
As of tonight, and then I'm going to wait for Innsmouth because all those are out of stock. I'm only missing
everything.
I know. There's 2 packs I'm missing out of the Carcosa cycle that were out, so I'm waiting for those to get back in stock, and then so I guess I don't have everything in that cycle because it's the Dim Carcosa and the one right before it they're out of stock, so I'm waiting for those.
Black Star's Rise.
Yeah, those are the 2 I don't have out of that one yet because they're just out everywhere. Unless I want to spend $140 on a pack of cards.
On a $15 pack.
Yeah, exactly. But anyway. This is one. I mean, I just ordered a second case. Like my first case weighs so much, I cannot hold it by the handle, or it's going to rake the handle off because I sleeved everything. It weighs so much, so I had to order a second box. But it's just amazing. Like I said, you play through the story. I mean, and it's just with cards. There's location. You move around in it, which is different from most card games where there's a spatial element to it where you're moving to different rooms or different wherever. I think I'm through I finished the core box stuff,
Okay.
and I'm in the Dunwich Legacy right now. But this
That's
game will be higher, guaranteed, just because I've spent a fortune on it already, and it's that good.
I mean, it just pretty much does everything right. Like you have different decisions, different outcomes going through the case, or going through the whatever they call it, the whole expansion campaign. The deck building, I mean, just only fits to how you want a deck build, but your character can only have so many types of cards, and there's so many different characters now that you get to play. It's amazing. Yeah,
just just the creativeness of the characters as well. You know, like the very first character I ever played was Nate. You know,
oh yeah,
Nate Cho or whatever his name was, or Nate.
Yeah, it's one of the investigator starter decks. They really
and all he just has fucking boxing gloves, and he's out there boxing these guys. You know,
it's so funny. Yeah, but he was awesome. I mean, even the investigator starter decks, I expected them to be like simpler and stuff like that. And I mean, you can't really deck build. You can, because they have their own unique decks or cards to pick from. But they were good.
Yeah, well, yours had a handful of 15 cards?
Yeah, he was all about increasing hand size, and it's like, oh, deal damage for each card in your hand. And I'm like, well, that's 15 damage.
Yeah, no, this is a classic one for sure. I was late to the party, but I'm getting caught up. So,
you got to get better tasting games, man. Every game I introduce you to, you end up going out and buying, but
not every one of them. Res Arcana.
That's right. Well, I didn't introduce you to that one.
Oh, kind of. That was the first time I ever played it.
True, I guess.
All right, so 34. Run, Fight, or Die.
Yeah, this one's okay.
And it's really, really good as a solo game.
Okay.
Just because you have your board, you play with one character, and you just go to survive, you know?
Gotcha.
You don't worry about the whole
weird take that.
Yeah, and this is literally, I mean, this is such a fast game when you play with one person too. It's just like you set your board up, pick your character, you throw some zombies out there, and you start rolling dice, and it's so fast. You know, you can get through a whole game of this in 15 minutes. You know, I've played so many games of this solo.
Gotcha.
And it's challenging when you're running solo, but you don't have that the dick move of people throwing people into your back row and stuff. But
it's kind of weird. Yeah, it's all random anyway, so it's kind of like, oh, take that plus randomness. It's just not doing it for me.
This is a solo version, I would say, of of King of Tokyo. Really, I mean, King of Tokyo doesn't have a solo mode, but if it did, it would be like this. It's almost. I mean, I've actually, because the box is so small and I have that huge tote container that has all those plastic minis. I've actually brought just the box to a place with a bunch of dice, and I actually put dice with numbers on those spots instead of doing the miniatures, because the miniatures get so it's so tedious moving miniatures here, moving them here. You just have a dice. If there's 5 up there, you put a dice with 5 on it.
That's true. Yeah, that's a good point.
It just makes it even faster if you're just trying to do something like that. So just a thought, for that. But yeah, Run, Fight, or Die. This was probably Richard Lanius's lightest game he's ever made. But it's not his only game on my list. So we'll get to that later. Anyway,
I'm more excited for his newest game coming out than anything.
Which one's that? Freedom 5?
Isn't it? Huh?
Freedom 5?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's badass.
Yeah, I'm excited for that one.
I finally paid for my deal.
Did you?
Yeah. I was like, oh God, that hurt. But yeah.
It's a pretty big chunk.
Yeah, I just didn't get the play mats. I got the one right below it.
I think I got everything.
Yeah, you got the personal player mats. I didn't get those this time. But all right. So 33.
If I can get neoprene mats, I think I just get them now, and an art book. I think I'm just liking having the collection of art books that I never look at.
Well, the reason I didn't get the playmat that deal is because I'm hoping that they'll just sell like individuals, because I'm probably only ever going to play Freedom 5 with maybe 2 people. like me playing two-handed or with one other person, so I don't need 4 mats, because it added like $100 or whatever just to get those 4 mats.
You know, actually, yeah, if that is what I got, I'd have to look at my pledge again. But if I end up playing only with 2 or something, I might just end up giving you the other 2.
That'd be fine. I'd pay you for them or something or whatever. We could figure it out.
Cool.
That'd be awesome. All right. So 33. Imperial Settlers, Empires of the North.
Okay. Yeah.
This one has the solo, because what this one did,
this has a solo mode. This is what I was talking about.
Right. This one has the solo scenarios that you get with each faction that you buy. They have their own solo missions and solo little scenarios that you get to take on and stuff. It's just a fun game, you know. I mean, it's not super serious, but it's challenging. You know, certain decks, some of them seem to be better than others, but you know, I haven't played them all yet though either. I need to get the barbarians. I haven't gotten the barbarians yet. The Egyptians are getting ready to come out. And I haven't done that, and I haven't played with the Japanese yet, which I need to, because they're my favorite in Imperial Settlers.
Right.
But yeah, just having their individual like themed solo deals, you know, with those different factions, it just makes this kind of cool, you know. It's plus the art on these games, all the Imperial Settlers games are just
it's
fun.
So cute. Like it's almost borderline that chibi art, but not trash, you know.
You know what would make it better? Is
What?
if it had the art of like Valeria card kingdoms and stuff like that.
You know, Valeria and Descent, it's just mixed together, and it's just a pile of shit.
Yeah. But yeah, this was a good addition for them. You know, I thought initially when we first played this, I was like, well, why am I ever going to touch Imperial Settlers again? I was like, this game beats it. I don't think that anymore. I've played them both enough now. I know that they're both almost equal in my eyes, you know. I mean, at this point, because they both do different enough
you like
things.
them both for different reasons.
Right.
Yeah, because I wasn't as enamored with this one as I was with Imperial, and then one day I just played them both, a bunch of solo modes of both of them, and I'm like, you know, actually these are both different enough and good enough to keep. That tag of Imperial Settlers on it, I think, is just completely unnecessary.
Yeah.
Like, they could have just been like, hey, it's Empires of the North, and you'd be like, I mean, it's Portal, you know, people would still buy it.
Yep.
So yeah, and this one I do actually like the solo variant better because it does have the scenarios.
Yeah, Imperial Settlers, I love the solo play of Imperial Settlers. It's just kind of you're always going against the barbarians, and it's kind of a beat score kind of thing.
Exactly.
But yeah, they're both still good though. But yeah, all right. 32. Mansions of Madness.
Wow, okay. I thought this would be higher.
This one, well, and it's one of those again, same as like the Lord of the Rings, you know. This is the app saves this game and makes it easier to play. You
couldn't even play the first edition you couldn't even play it solo.
Right. This is one of those. I mean, I tried playing it with one character one time, and it wasn't. You need to play 2 characters. But then it's also kind of convoluted a little bit when you start getting in there. You know, where the app is good with this one, they even streamline the app better for Lord of the Rings. But this game is better than the Lord of the Rings game. That's why it's higher up on here. You know, they constantly get compared. I think the app is better for Lord of the Rings, but the game is better for Mansions. And it's just, you know, there's a lot of games higher up on this list that this one is a bear to set up. I mean, I know it's got the app and everything, but when you get, I don't have the storage that you have because I haven't wanted to drop $200 on the wooden case yet that doesn't fit everything.
You're right. It certainly doesn't.
So I've been
paying it.
I've been kind of waiting to see if they do something different, before I buy a
They probably
deal.
will. I mean, I'm hoping that they come up with something and they're just, I mean, to be completely honest, I can probably fit everything because I hate these minis, man.
Yeah.
These minis are god awful.
Yeah.
So what you could easily do is just take all the minis out and just just bunch up the cardboard things, and then I can probably fit everything.
Yeah. Yeah. The minis just aren't good, that's probably the biggest downfall to this. Because you slide those stupid things down in the bases, and it's just
sometimes they don't even fit, so they fall out, and then they use one weak ass little peg to fit in one hole, and then they fall. It's awful. The minis don't even look that good, so it's like I'd rather just have a standee or have the art.
Yeah, I've thought about, because they sell those pre-painted miniatures of a lot of those characters and bad guys and stuff, like on different sites, but they're expensive.
I've thought of that too for Eldritch, but yeah, it's a lot of money.
Yeah, so this one, what saves this game from taking the minis out of the situation is just the stories are always awesome. The puzzles, the stories, the all the DLC that they have with different everything. I mean, this is just a good game, whether you're on the trains and doing all that stuff, or if you're just everywhere. This is a classic one for sure. All right.
Yeah, I wonder if they've announced if they're done. I don't think they have.
They haven't put anything out since the Horrific Journeys. I think, was that the last one, or was it the Path of the Serpent? Was that the last one? I can't remember.
Path of the Serpent.
Okay. Because I don't have the Serpent one yet, because I've been waiting to see what happens with storage and stuff. Plus, I haven't needed to play it or get it, because I still haven't played everything I have. But yeah, that is my 32. Going to 31 is Castle Panic. That's
so funny that you were just, because I was looking through my Kickstarter and I'm like, oh, there's a Castle Panic Deluxe collection. I wonder if Brad's going to get that.
No, I have this, and I have the expansions that came out for this. I don't see a reason to add plastic miniatures and spend all that crap fortune on everything. This game is not. If you go into it and want to spend that much money on this, you're going to be kind of let down, because this is a game. This my number 50 was Forbidden Desert, and I said I liked it because it was easy to set up. You didn't have to think a ton. You just sit down and played it. That's what this game does. You throw the board out on the table. You throw all the triangular monsters in the bag along with the event tiles, and you have your hero cards. You draw them. You start throwing out monsters, and you just tower defense. I mean, it's one of those games that's very easy to play, but it's challenging, especially when you throw in the Wizard's Tower. Because when you play with the Wizard's Tower expansion, it almost becomes unbeatable. It's pretty rough. But the mechanics itself are just so simple. And so if you just want to sit down and just have kind of, a nice easy game to play by yourself, this would be it. Where not easy in the fact where it's not like, you're just going to walk through it and beat it every time, because when you play with the Wizard, I maybe win 20% of the time with playing with the Wizard deal. And then the Dark Titan expansion adds other stuff too. But this is always a good one, just to it's good for families. It's good for everything. It's super easy to play solo, because with multiple heroes, because it's pretty simple, basic cards. You do have a trade mechanic, and you just trade amongst yourself if you need to on stuff, and you just play it out. It's a pretty good one. I mean, if you're looking for something simple and light to kind of just toss in there.
Yeah, if you want a pretty simple borderline gateway kids game, what you should do is go spend $350.
Yeah, I know. That's ridiculous. I saw that and I was like, who is paying for that? I mean, like, just
630 backers.
just get this version and just play. I mean, miniature. If there's a game that does not need miniatures, it's this one. Just because you're drawing out of the bag. I don't even know what they would do.
Everything's like wooden. I mean, that case, the case is cool.
Yeah, but I mean, everything fits in this box. You know, it's a small, just little 8x8 box, and everything fits in it. You know,
yeah, but it wouldn't fit all the minis. So.
Well, no. But yeah, that's one of those things that's just a company going for that. Which, I mean, people are buying it, which. So
yeah, I mean,
can't blame them, I guess.
Well, I will say, because I literally am only looking at this because you mentioned the game. I have no interest in backing this game at all.
Right.
However, I mean, yeah, they 285,000 on a goal of 60. I will say, this art on the PowerPoint, I despise this cover.
Yeah.
I really don't like it. The new updated art looks really cool. It reminds me of a dragon's lair.
Oh yeah.
Dragon's lair. That's what it kind of reminds me of, and I do like that. But anyway, I digress. The game is literally the exact same in both ends, except it's just not updated.
If you can find this, just get this. If you're All right. So number 30. Dark Souls card game. I've been playing this quite a bit lately. So this is just, I've never played the video game. I watched your playthrough when I was getting interested in it and stuff. Finally went in and got everything for it that's out.
Oh, okay. You did get the 2 expansions?
Yeah, I went on ahead and got it all and everything. So, it's just pretty sweet, you know. I like the maneuvering capability on the board, you know, where you move around, know who you're going to attack. I love the I can't think what they're called now, but the symbols, how you use the different symbols to do different things. You know,
like the skills.
Yeah, the skills. And you're upgrading some cards that have one of them to multiples. So you can kind of vary your what you're going to do and everything. One of my favorite things about this, and this is kind of the polarizing part of this game, I love the art on the cards. How it's just everything's black and it's just the thing, you know, and the monsters are really menacing looking and everything. It's just some people would say it's too dreary to whatever, but that's Dark Souls from what I hear. I mean, but yeah, this was one Steam forged games. You know, I haven't really found anything by them miniatures wise that I've really liked. But this, of course, is just a card game. You know, I mean, it worked out very well. And whereas it's an expensive card game, I spent I mean, it's a lot of money for just a bunch of cards, but the gameplay is definitely worth it, you know, and it runs well solo. You could run it with 2 characters solo if you wanted to. But just the mechanics of this game is just awesome. Like I said, I'd probably even get more out of it if I had played the video games, you know. But
you would. I mean, you would get to understand how the bosses work or why they work the way they do.
Right.
That goes for almost any game, though. If you understand the source material, it makes it a little bit better.
Right.
But yeah, this one, because I played obviously the board game and hated it. It's a clunky fucking mess. And I'm like, whatever, I'll try the card game. And it was incredibly solid, like a super solid deck builder that you weren't exhausted from just fighting minions over and over like you were in the board game. And then you get to do the boss fights, and the boss fights are still just as challenging and fun.
Right.
So that I have kept this one. And the 2 expansions that they have just add more of what Dark Souls has in the video game and more bosses. So yeah, it's a pretty clean game.
Yeah, I really have enjoyed it so far. All right, 29. Fire Team Zero.
Okay.
Probably thought it was going to be higher on the list. Probably, right?
No, actually, this feels right for because we're starting to get up there, and top 25 I think are going to be extremely solid ones, except for hopefully one. hopefully it just didn't make the list.
Which one? Oh, well, we'll get into that later.
If I see it, you'll know.
Yeah. Fire Team Zero. I mean, I've talked about this on multiple videos. It's in my top probably 20, I think, solidly in my top 20 the last couple of years. The scenarios in this, although fairly short, which is a good thing, you kind of get almost the Arcadia Quest vibe as far as like their campaign is like 6 games. This is a campaign of like, I think 3 or 4 games, and then you're done with that little campaign and then you move on to the next, so it's like, you can keep moving around. They have the Africa cycle and the Europe cycle. Let's bring in more monster stuff. Once you've played through the stories, you can substitute the monster families, which is why all those other expansions exist, like the Monster Box A, B, C, D, all that stuff, because you can just plug in another family of monsters and use their decks of cards and play this stuff again with those monsters. This one, I would highly suggest if you have this game or if you want to try to find this game, you need to get to the Emergent Games website. The company is out of business. The website's still there, but you can download their MP3 files, which are the audio recordings of the readings of the scenarios. And it's like on radio. It's almost like they're talking on like World War II radios and radioing this stuff and everything. I downloaded them to my phone just to have them in case the site disappears. But that just adds that little element. It's almost kind of like Foreteller before Foreteller,
before Foreteller became the best narrative app.
Exactly. Speaking of which, I cannot wait for Isofarian Guard. I've been watching that stuff.
I can't wait. I'm about to start Midara.
Did you back Isofarian Guard?
No, not yet.
Okay. I think they're good until June something, so I went on ahead and got it. But anyway, but this one's just alt World War II. Hell has risen. You're just this team, the Fire Team Zero team of character 4 people, and you're just fighting through these different scenarios and completing missions, and it's not a perfect game, but it just has that enough cool things to it with the multi-use cards and the dice allocation and different odds and ends. You need to use teamwork in this. When I play it solo now, I know it sounds convoluted, but when I play solo, I play with 3 characters.
Oh, okay.
Just because the teamwork is so much of a must with this game that I try.
That makes sense.
And their decks aren't too bad to manage and stuff like that. So, but yeah, Fire Team Zero is 29. All right, let's see. 28.
Okay.
Raiders of the North Sea. This one, I was excited about. This was a great game anyway. Before I found out there was a solo deal, this was one of their earlier games with Garfield Games and stuff. And what they did with this one is it wasn't included in the box, but you could buy the solo AI deck from their website. So I think I paid like $18 for this 20 card deck or something like that just to get it shipped from Europe or wherever. Yeah. But it does, like if you've played any of those other ones like the West Architects or any of those where they have that deck already in there, that's pretty much what this is. I mean, it's a character. They're doing different things. You flip a card and they do something. It's but when they throw that in with this one, which is my favorite of all of the Shem Phillips games, that just made it.
Have you played Viscounts yet?
I don't own it. No, I haven't even gotten that one yet. I've barely played Paladins. But
I actually played Paladins pretty recently. It's so good.
Yeah, I need to get it played more.
And Viscounts I played a little less, but Yeah, they're my two favorite from him.
Yeah, this one was the one that introduced me into the deal, and I think it just kind of. Plus, I love Vikings, so it just kind of
True.
went in with it, and the whole drop and pickup mechanics and stuff was super cool on this one. And with the expansions, it adds even more because the solo AI deck works even with the two big expansions as well.
That's good.
So it just makes this game awesome. And then and if you ever want to do it, the app for this game is just awesome as hell. It's like $7, and it's just super, super good. All right. 27. Space Hulk, Death Angel, the card game.
Okay.
This was one of my early games that I played when I got back into the hobby after a while. This was like one of my very first forays right back into it. And this one is such a challenging, hard ass experience, whether you're playing it solo or co-op, however you play it. This is a brutal ass game, but I love the aspect of your spatial awareness, and you have your row of your heroes, your Space Marines, that their way they face makes they get flanked if they get something comes out their back, so you can flip them. Switch spots in the ring. I mean, this is one of those games I'm surprised it didn't. Fortunately, you can't now because Games Workshop and Fantasy Flight are no more. But this was just a game that seemed like it was ahead of its time when it came out.
Well, there was a time where Fantasy Flight was a good company.
Yeah, I know.
But they made more than 2 games.
But I wish that I could get the other. And there's 2 expansions I'm missing, and it's just these little decks of cards, and they're so fucking expensive. But this is just it's just a cool game. That the abilities of the Space Marines that you have, because when you play and you pick, let's say you're the yellow guys and you get 2 Space Marines, and you mix them up, you lay them out in the row, and that's how they're out there, so you just have to really, really work together. Teamwork is a must in this game. The one thing I don't like about this game is I've replaced the die because I'm convinced the die in this game is weighted to be horrible.
It might.
Because
it's an old game.
I've played 3 different copies of this, and the worst rolls happen with that dice. Like, it's constantly rolling bad. So I have a whole nother dice I use now for it. But yeah, this is one. If you can seek it out, it's out of print. Obviously, it's not going to be cheap, but it's not super expensive. You can still. I think I rebought mine for like $40.
It's not like one of those out of print games where it's like, oh, this will be $3,000.
Right, but the expansions are expensive. That's the thing. Like, you can get the base game for $40, but the little ass expansions, they're like 30 cards or $60.
Yeah.
So anyway, there's plenty in the base game to keep you if you want to try it out and find it. It's a really, really, really good, solid game.
Yeah, I need to get this one on the channel. It'd be a good one just to get up there.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind playing it. It's a good one. All right, 26 is a new game on the list.
Wow,
it's Dice Throne Adventures.
The Adventures. Yes. I guess you can't play the other one.
Right. Yeah, I mean, you could, but
you could. That would be truly sad.
It's kind of like those people that play chess and like spin the board.
Exactly.
And then spin the board.
Yeah.
But no, Dice Throne Adventures. I love playing Dice Throne anyway. But then when you throw the dungeon dive into it, and you're leveling up, you're gaining things and loot, and you have these boss battles and lieutenant battles as you go, and it's not an easy game at all. But you can play with. I mean, they've got so many heroes out now, especially if you got all the stuff, which I think we both do.
16.
16 and there's more coming too.
So they are officially doing the season 3.
Yeah, they just haven't put a date on it because they want to get competitive play going again, because they have big competitive plays and they're dice thrown at the cons and stuff.
Yeah,
So
I'm actually about to. So I started the BattleCon tournament, like just something for the channel. I'm starting a dice throwing tournament as well with a friend of mine.
Yeah, dice throwing is
so good.
It's an awesome game.
Yeah, it's so good.
I don't know why I waited so long to get in on it. I think what got me was because of this adventures got me, because I knew I could play it. So
okay.
Because I wanted
like Yahtzee, like that the Yahtzee mechanic, same as like 5 Tribes, where it's like the Mancala effect Mancala mechanic, and you're just like, I don't really want to deal with that. But yep. I mean, better late than never, though.
Yeah, it's just the production of all of it. I mean, every hero has their own games tray and their own tokens and their own trifold board that has everything listed on it, like all their abilities and everything, what it does and everything, and it has their deck cards and their dice are even themed with their, with them and stuff. It's just
one of my favorite things about the individual characters is their sheet has a FAQ on it.
Yeah,
which is no one does. No one in like BattleCon fucking needs an FAQ for each character, because it's like, well, what happens if this happens? Oh, we don't know.
Right.
Like, great, all right. But yeah, this is a good one. I haven't tried the adventures yet, though.
It's good. It's good for sure. All right, and my last one for this segment of the list. Actually, would that be my last one? That would be my last one, wouldn't it?
25. No, this one is your last one. You're right.
Never mind, because the next one.
I was like, oh yeah, I was thinking 25 as well. Okay, perfect. Well, most of those were pretty good. Yeah, I can't really think of any games that were on there that I was like, this is trash.
Just wait until Proving Grounds is my number 1. Then you'll.
Oh my God, I would just leave. You just see me disconnect. But yeah, so that was Brad's first half of solo games. But yeah, go ahead and stick around for the next segment, 25 to number 1. I have no idea what your number 1 solo game is going to be. I have an idea, but I don't know if you'll put it at number 1.
We'll find out later.
Yep. So I am excited. But yeah, everyone, hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you. Hey everyone, thank you for watching, and I really hope that you enjoyed the video. If you would like to see more of my content, go ahead and click that subscribe button and the bell to be notified whenever I upload any new content. If you feel like supporting the channel, you can go ahead and click that Patreon link to be taken to my Patreon, and any help is truly appreciated. Other than that, stick around for any other run-throughs or reviews or cool top 10s or whatever I feel like putting on. Other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you.